I'm Mary Dougherty, and we have Kaesen from the Fine Lab, who is,
Hi.
can you explain your title? Are you?
Yeah, so I am the editing manager at the Fine Lab. I handle the premium editing for film scans, as well as black and white editing, as well as digital editing for
Yep.
hybrid and digital only clients.
Oh, wow. So you are just like making sure everything goes smoothly and gets to the right place and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a team effort for sure.
I think there's a big shift, maybe 6, 7 years into my business. This is 12, where I just realized like, wow, I'm spending so much time, which I think everybody that's an obvious, but it takes some people longer than
Absolutely.
others to be like, I don't actually have to be the one in front of my computer. Like me logging in hours doesn't make my business any more legitimate or better or anything like that. Plus I had kids. So I think that's a really easy way to be like, I'm spending all my time here and they're like out there. And
Absolutely, yeah.
so that led me to like eventually sending off digital files to be edited with a couple other companies before I finally sent to the Fine Lab. And I love that now you can start at that point. You can be like, I'm shooting film, or maybe you want to start shooting film and you're also like, I don't actually want to be sitting at my computer for 5 hours a day editing pictures.
Absolutely.
And then you can just decide to send everything to somebody that you trust. And I feel like that is an advantage of, it's always hard to find the right lab or person to work with. And so, I mean, you guys have a reputation. So I think that speaks volumes. But yeah, what would you say for someone who's like scared of getting their pictures edited or doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the first things that seems very daunting is like having someone else like have the say in what your image is going to look like, paying someone to deliver something back that is like final. And the
Right.
great thing about the technology and everything that we have this like today is
Yeah.
that you have the final say at the end of the day. So we use Lightroom smart catalogs, and practically most private editors or even other companies, like this is how they do it.
Yeah.
So you use smart previews and a smart catalog through Lightroom. And what that allows you to do is create a very small preview of your file, but not having that huge raw within a Lightroom catalog. And then all the edits and everything that we do, all the matching to get to your preferences, you have the final say. When it comes back, you have all those sliders, you have all that information. So if you need to make a tweak here or there before you export that final image, it's up to you.
And I think
our goal is to not have you hopefully have to do like any of that.
Yeah.
But that reassurance, I think, is one of the biggest like hurdles for people to get over. They feel like it's final and done, and how can anyone know
how I edit my pictures? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's nice just to know, like, you can put your finishing touches on it if you want and need to, but even if like, because I think, it might take some time to get to the point where you're like, okay, this is working, right? It's not always the first thing you send out. Sometimes it is, but it takes like a little bit of time to come up with a good workflow with, shooting film, having your pictures edited, all those things. I think that's pretty normal. But what would you say about like how the editing team works? Like, how do you find editors? How do you like send people to different editors, or is that too secret?
No,
I don't know.
So one of the things that's different about us versus maybe like a private editor is that we do have a team. We have a team of editors that is able, like we're all able to do the same thing. We've all had the same training. We all, pre all of this, we all are in the same room and have each other for reference. We're working from home right now for safety reasons, but I would say that like what we do is most importantly is we try and match an editor. And that's kind of my job as a manager, is I will try and match someone's style, that person's personal style, to someone that I know edits very well, right? Like we all have these same capabilities, but like for instance, I'm really not good with like dark and moody.
Yeah.
That's not my forte. Like, and so like I can do it, but I'm not as good at doing it versus one of our other editors that is really great at seeing color and doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one of our first things, is we want to pair you up. One of the biggest things we want to do is create like a color profile. I'm sure if you've had any relationship with our lab, as you have, you know, color profiles are a huge thing. That helps us have a color reference and have notes and have before and after side by side, so that we always have a reference for your images. So we will assign an editor that we feel like is very like capable of your style, or in the same realm. And we'll have you work with that same person. But if not, you have like an entire team to back you up at the same time.
So is the first thing, if someone's reaching out, because I know you guys do like a free 25 images so that people get to test it, which is awesome. Do they also just say like, hey, and this is like me typing, like, here's what my ideal images look like. Like, how do they set up their color profile and start that? Do they just email you? Do they email?
Yeah, so you can email info@thefindlab. So
I'm like making this so easy because I know I have friends who I've been telling for a long time. I'm like, you should do this.
So it's
like, and I host a workshop and I'm like, I don't edit everything, because I think you know what I mean? Everybody has this notion of like, this person does this and, you know, this is the right way or this is the only way. And I think it's nice to hear, oh, I could actually outsource some things. I could.
Absolutely.
Knowing how to edit and talk about color is helpful, because it's hard to explain what you like or don't like. But I feel like the Fine Lab does a good job of giving everybody feedback when they need it.
Yeah, we get new clients like that are even just new to photography, you know, like, and they're just looking for, or maybe they found a photographer on Instagram that they really like and they're new to photography, but they just know that they don't really know about film or don't know about anything, but they know that we edit digital. And so they give us a try. And even though they're new to photography, the Fine Lab's like core value is education. That's what we're all about. And so whether you are a top high quantity doing epic destination weddings, or you could use some help with like why ISO shouldn't be 12,000 during the day. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're here to help you with and give you the best image at the same time. We can. RAWs can only do so much. They can do so much, but they can only do so much. But that, like, absolutely, like, that's one of the great things that I think that we provide is that education part for any level of photographer. So.
And I think that's different from, again, like a private editor or a different editing company that is less connected to the industry. I don't know. I started years ago with somebody else and then I pretty much switched over to you guys, but it's just nice to know, like, okay, they have this training and experience and know like where people want to go and what they want to be like, what they want their finished product to be, basically. So absolutely. I'll probably edit that part out.
I thought it sounded great, but
long day.
No, that's the thing is, like, two things I'd add on top of that is, like, at least for the Fine Lab, we know film. We are a film lab that does digital editing. So if you were looking for a true, like, film emulation, like, we know that. We deal with film all day, every day. Like, I look at thousands of images of film every day. We know film. So even if you're just a digital photographer, if you want that emulation and not just slap a preset on and call it a day. But if you want a
Right.
true emulation, we're the people that know that. Working at a lab and having that connection, I think definitely gives us more of a benefit, honestly.
Yeah.
And then what I would say secondly is that like most editors that edit outsource, we're photographers. We do this. We also we have businesses. We do this. I have a degree in photography, and our team's very educated in photography. Sometimes I handpicked some friends from college, but they're great. I trust them, and they're insanely qualified. So why would I not? You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah. That's how the world works. It's all connections and relationships. I mean,
absolutely.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So we're most, we're obsessed with film. We, we've all adopted it for the most part. And
yeah.
we know how important that final product is
Right.
to your livelihood. We understand that this is
right.
What you do. So,
So what would you say to people who are I have my own preset. I don't really know how do you do presets? Are you this is what we have in our library, or do you say send us what you want to use?
Yeah, just give it to us. So so at a base,
yeah,
our editing is focused around film emulation. So a lot of hybrid orders is what we call for digital and film shooters that want us to match their film to look like digital.
Yeah.
So a lot of our digital only shooters still want that film emulation. So we use and have access to a lot of the top film emulation presets and profiles. However, at the end of the day, we're editors. We know color. We know this. If you have a preset of your own or something that we don't have that you prefer, we're more than happy to use it. Just throw it on the photos when you send your catalog in, and we will do whatever you want, honestly. So
right. And do some people pre-edit and then send them in, or?
Yeah, and we love that. And that's another thing that I'd say if you're one of those people that are super worried about outsourcing, give us a couple. Right. Give us a couple full color, so that we know for this wedding, this session, this is the color, this is the stuff you're going for. And even if it's maybe something a little different than the color profile we have, or maybe it's something a little different that you aren't used to shooting, but if you tell us this is what you look like, you're gonna be much happier because you've already given us a color reference for that session. But on top of that, something that we do specifically as well for those people that are also weary about it, we send samples for every order. So you're not going to send us 1,000 images 5 days later, just peekaboo, hope it, you know what I mean? We're going to send you, at least me, I try and sample out every single lighting scenario through maybe say a wedding. So the reception, I want the dress reveal, everything. And to make sure that you are okay with the color and everything in these little pinpoint places throughout the entire wedding before I move forward and do 1,000 images worth of work, and that you have that assurity that it's going to go ahead just fine.
Yeah, I love that. I don't pre-edit. I just send it, and then I
no, and that's totally fine too.
I seeing okay, yes, this is good. Or if I'm the green is just a little bit off, or then you can make little adjustments, and that's super nice because it's almost like you said, getting to that finished final product, you can get there without having to go back in. You shouldn't be re-editing at the end of it, but it's a way to kind of put your stamp on it and make sure you like how it looks before it is finished.
Absolutely. So. And sometimes there's some difficult stuff that you may have that one frame or 3 frames that maybe we didn't sample, and it was just a really underexposed reception photo, or you know what I mean, something like that maybe if you just wanted a little cooler or whatever, you still have that final say. And we're super great with communication, so coming back and forth, if you want changes and adjustments, we can do that super easy. Or if you want another round of samples and we missed the mark, we'll do that as well. Like we
Yeah.
want to get to that point where you are like, this is
Yeah,
it.
this is good. Yeah. I think that's amazing. I feel like everybody should at least give it a try. I mean, I think so many people would feel like so much more freedom in their lives if they didn't
Oh yeah.
have editing kind of weighing them down. And that's not to say you shouldn't learn how to edit or anything like that. It's just, I know that people thinking about next year, which I think for a lot of people is going to be busy, it's like you should come up with a plan right now of like what the workflow is rather than go into the year like drowning or unsure of how to turn everything around.
Yeah, completely overwhelmed.
Yeah. Any like
no, absolutely.
Before we go, is there any like little, I don't know, tip or thing, like what's something that you think everybody, when you get all these pictures, are you like, if everybody did this thing, it would be so much easier? Is there anything like that or no? Like what's the biggest mistake people make or?
The biggest mistake people make when they send in stuff, this isn't a shooting thing, is forgetting smart previews when you actually export your catalog. If you have any questions about like how to create a smart catalog or whatever, you can go to our website, thefinelab.com, and go to digital services. And there's a blog post that will walk you through exactly how to do this entire thing.
Yeah.
But the saddest part as far as that goes, outside of like actually shooting, is you send us your order, you're expecting it, you're excited for it, and then all of a sudden we reach out to you a couple days later and we can't even edit the photos because without smart previews, they're uneditable.
Right.
So that's one of the saddest things, is then we have to wait for you to make smart previews, send them back, and it just is time out of your day and whatever. And so that's one of the saddest things, and that's why we created this blog post. It's newer, right there on our website, to help people have that step-by-step. And once you do it like the first 2 times, like it becomes second nature. It's just how it just becomes part of your workflow. Yeah. So I'm trying to think if there's anything as far as like shooting. We love time synced. Yeah. Like, one thing that, like, if you're shooting with multiple cameras or multiple photographers, time sync your cameras. You can also do it in Lightroom super easy. If you forget, sometimes we don't know when everything happened, or if we can't line up everything.
How can you do it in Lightroom? Because I have made that mistake. How do you?
Oh, really? Oh, it's super easy. I will like screen record it just on my computer. Okay. You won't have any audio, but like, I'm going to add that as like a tip, because it's super helpful. Anything else that we should touch on before we go? One last thing I want to reiterate is one of my points was and you said this, but like, we save you time. We did a survey of our hybrid and premium clients, and we asked them, how much time do we save you on average orders of this size, this size, this size, this size? And it's nuts to think that on an average order of like, I think like 500 images or something, we're saving people like 4 to 5 hours. And like, just to think of like what you can do in that time, like that's an entire another session. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can do 2 engagements. You could meet with vendors. You can meet with, like, you could be getting paid more. The number one thing, like, you need to make space for yourself to be creative, to like not get burned out, to think of new ideas, to be able to shoot more if you want, but it could just be like, you could grow your business in a completely different way that you haven't thought of because you're sitting at your computer, or you could shoot more sessions, or you could be with your family. Like, there's so many options. Once you start to like realize time is more valuable, and work in the cost of editing into what you're charging. Think about when you shoot a wedding, when you upload those, and then when you're actually ready to like edit them, right? So depending on how busy of a photographer you are, like, because you are constantly shooting
Yeah.
and like a typical process is like you're shooting, and behind you have those editing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, sorry, ma'am, I can't give you your entire wedding tomorrow because I have 4 sessions because it takes time.
Yeah.
And so like, imagine that, but like, imagine you could send 1,500 images, upload them the day after the wedding, upload them to us, and in 5 days, your wedding's colored and
Yeah.
ready.
I
You know what I
have a
mean?
wedding to send to you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna like download the cards and send it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that, just,
Because
do you
it's
feel that
like,
breath
for me,
you
it's
take?
like I'm traveling, I'm like, I have 3 kids, like even being able to sit down and like do the smallest thing sometimes is, yeah, it's hard because like I definitely like have different work hours and like all this other stuff. So it's nice. And that's the push I needed to get that wedding to you guys.
No, absolutely. Like, it's
It was
like,
coming, but it was like, yeah, I've been waiting like a couple
yeah.
days. So, oops.
So
Probably couldn't admit that, but it's the truth. Like we all know. Like I usually tell my clients between 4 and 6 weeks is when their images will be done. But it's nice to know like that's going to happen because I have someone helping me edit. I'm not like, oh my
no,
gosh, Mary, I've got like 3 weddings waiting before I can even get to this
yeah.
one. Like that's what it used to be like, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Now they're on a docket for you to just like
Yeah.
finish up, export, upload,
Yeah.
and call it a day. Do you know what I mean? And you can have that instead of getting to it week 3 because you are so busy. And especially if that's how 2021 is going to be for so many people, like,
Yeah.
why not have it in 5 days? Which is like our turn, you know what I mean? Like our turnaround time for any number of images.
Yep. Except if you do film plus digital, then it's
Film plus digital, we shortened down to 7. So
yeah.
an extra 2 days, but a week of
But
business
that's not,
days.
yeah. Okay, I thought
No,
it was
absolutely.
10. Maybe it used to be.
It used to be
longer.
10.
Okay.
So we kind of updated our processes and wanted to make sure, and then so now it's 7. That kind of changed in like March-ish.
Okay.
We thought it was 7.
Yeah.
I guess it like never finitely got changed, but we've been kind of like not realize, but like it's now 7. So even just like 7 business days is a steal as far as like,
it's crazy. Like
you know what I
how
mean?
much can you serve, how well can you serve your clients by saying like your gallery is ready early, or I have time to write this blog post or put something together that they feel special.
Invest in your website, invest in,
right.
you know what I mean? Like you have all of this time that you don't, and here's the thing is like, not to like toot my own horn, but like because I do this every day, because I do thousands of images every day, and obviously photographers doing this for years do, but like my whole goal is to find out how to do what I do faster and better. And so what we do as a team, what we constantly do at the Fine Lab is like, what is new technology that we can do? Like the whole edit capture time thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like we discovered that because we were searching, because we saw a problem, and because we see it on a larger scale than just like a single photographer.
Right.
We find out ways how to edit faster, edit better.
Yeah.
So like our whole goal is, if you're like, you feel like you're slow, or if it just takes you so long, like,
right.
Like
the number of hours you have to put in to like learn all those little tips and tricks and processes to get to the point of like super fast editing for yourself that'd be a lot of time, which is, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are on that path, but like it's for a lot of people not going as well as they want it to. It's taking too long. So
like be a photographer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's what you signed up for.
Can I ask you about the like the culling where it's like AI, like it auto culls for you? You know those?
Oh.
Tell me about that.
I have not looked into, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
It terrifies me. I don't know. So we look at a lot of stuff to try and better automate even what we do. For instance, like There's a little inside trick.
Okay.
But I don't know if you use like match total exposure ever in Lightroom.
Mm-hmm.
Dream. Absolute dream. See, like that's the thing is like so what it does is it uses an automation that, so let's say you're shooting like bridesmaids or whatever.
Yes.
And you've come in out of the shade or something, and your settings are off on the first one, or you like weirdly somehow kept bumping your settings, but the light never changed, right?
Right.
So you've edited one photo and got your exposure to exactly where you want it. But if you copy and paste those edits over because your shutter speed was slower and you have a much brighter image, all you have to do is you select your reference, and you slap one button, and it's called match total exposure in Lightroom. And it literally will adjust the exposure value to be the perfect level between all of them. Changed my life.
Yes.
It's great. You know what I mean? And so like, depending on if you shoot manual or aperture or something like, or if it just gets bumped a little bit, it does a really, and especially for new shooters like always change their settings, always second guess. So we'll get a row of 16 photos that are like it's like one stop here. Oh, I had a lady, I had a client that didn't know that her camera was in bracketing, and she shot an entire session, which is, so like me doing this
over and under plus.
But you get the color there, and then you're able to just match everything to the base one, and you don't have to touch exposure, and they all just match. So it's like
easy.
That type of stuff is what we're always doing, but
not ready for AI like image selection. It feels a little weird, but
there's also like, there's always this like little part of me at the end of the day that's like a human eye. Do you know what I mean? Like an artistic eye needs to see this. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like yes, you can teach AI how to like maybe look for like
blinked eyes. Yeah.
Blinked eyes, or maybe like sharpness in a way, but like as far as like composition and like mood of a photo, like I don't want you to skip a photo, like especially if you're okay with something that like maybe it like sees a blink eye because they're kissing or something and doesn't give you the best kissing. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm a big fan for automation, so I need to look more into it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, like, this is fun.
This was wonderful. I'm a rambler, so I apologize.
No.
Everyone's like, yeah, Zoom. And I was like, okay.
You're like, Skype? Wait.
Yeah, I was like, I'm Skype. Like,